Let's see who shows up. Let's see who shows up. I got the microphones on. Let me know if the audio is good when you get here. It has been warm today. Let me tell you that. It's been warm. Where are you going? No, you can't come through that way. You can't come through that way. All right, go under it. I got a dog trying. Go. Go. I got the dog trying to come through, and he's trying to go under all the cords for everything that I just set up. So we're going to talk about some knife scams. There's a lot of knife scams out there, and there's ways to avoid the knife scams. It's the same as avoiding any other scam that's out there. Come on up, bud. Up. Come up. So just like any other scams that are out there, the knife scams, they can be easy to spot. Can't they, bud? Can't they? It's been warm here today, huh? And so knife scams are easy to, oh, I got to set this up so that I got all you guys' chat. I want to see live chat, not just top, not just paying members. So there's a lot of knife scams out there, and I know you guys have heard me talk about it, and Cedric and Ada, Pete over at Cedric and Ada, he's talked about the Husk knife, and now you got those Kalima knives or whatever they are. There's a lot of scams out there. And it's because there's some companies out there that are just, they don't give a crap about, they don't give a crap about the quality of the product they're putting out, and they're trying to do some stuff. But there's a bunch of different ways that you can get scammed in the knife industry. And some of it isn't just, the companies. Some of it is people that are doing crappy stuff. So the easiest way to pick out a scam is just do a little bit of research. Case in point, Spyderco knives. Spyderco knives are Spyderco and Cold Steel are some of the most knocked off knives you're gonna find. Would you stop licking my leg? It's disgusting. Their knives get knocked off all the time, and it's because they're popular. And it doesn't take a lot to copy a design that's been around. Scoot up. Stop licking me. Stop it. The dog's over here licking me. And it's because their designs are so popular, and they're easy to duplicate and replicate. They really are. But what you don't get duplicated is the quality. And so just doing some research is the easiest way to not get caught up in a scam when it comes to knives. Yes, I love you too, buddy. Yes. I got the dog like right here next to me. So if you just do some research on just some of the simplest things like packaging, is what you're looking at meet the standards of what you would expect from that company when it comes to like packaging and things like that. They never seem to get the packaging right. Markings on knives. And this is if you're looking at it online. The problem you run into is that most of these companies are just going to use fake images. But I'm talking about like if you're at a show and a guy is selling knives secondhand. If you're at a gun show and a guy is selling knives, just do a little research to pick out the hallmarks and the markings and things like that. It does suck that there are so many faked knives out there. And guys, if you're here, please drop a like. I don't see any comments unless I'm missing them. Do I have the comments set up? Maybe I had the comments turned off. So a little bit of research is the easiest way. Like if you see a guy that's selling a knife, take a look and see if the markings and everything are up to snuff. It's pretty easy. Spyderco has an entire area for that so that you can see if you've gotten a fake knife. It's really, really easy. Cold Steel knives are faked a lot. So with the fact that these websites are going to sell fakes and they're probably going to use like stock images of the actual knife, it can get a little bit complicated. So the next thing that you can do to prevent yourself from getting scammed is make sure you're using reputable vendors. As much as I hate to say it, I don't trust Amazon half the time anymore. I got to lower this down a little bit, guys. Hang on. We're going to do a little altitude change here. I know, hopefully you don't get motion sickness. Tripod was just a little too tall. So yeah, It's easy if if you just go to reputable vendors, the likelihood of you getting something and getting scammed and getting screwed so much lower. Um, Reputable vendors like Blade HQ, Knives Ship Free, GP Knives, Knife Center, which unfortunately I don't have an affiliate with, or I would be talking more about it. Those are reputable vendors. They're going to provide you with the best possible chance of getting the knife you want, period. E-knives, that's another one, e-knives. There's a lot of really reputable vendors out there that you can rest assured that when you buy a knife, yes, buddy, when you buy a knife from them, you're getting the knife you want. Places that I would avoid are places like eBay. Now, I do know that people sell knives on eBay. I don't trust eBay. I have never trusted eBay. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, find a reputable vendor. I have never bought a knife on eBay because I've heard the horror stories. And eBay does, oh, get your money back guarantee and all this. I don't trust it. I've reported counterfeits to Amazon, as a matter of fact. I bought a knife here a couple years ago that wound up being a counterfeit. I reported it to Amazon, and they gave me my money back, but they did nothing to rectify the situation. The seller was still there. Hey, what's up? Custom EDC Knives is here. Hey, Scabs should be doing a review of your Warrentac here before too long. He's got it. I sent it to him. He's going to do a review of it before too long. There are things that you're going to look for on websites that are going to that leads you to know whether it's a reputable website. I have seen, I've been watching a lot of stuff on Temu lately, just because, you know, good value. They've got like good prices on a lot of stuff. And I did a thing where they asked me if I wanted to write reviews on products. And so I did order some stuff from them, and the stuff that I did get seemed to be, sorry, it's hot. They so far have been really good products. We're playing around with location of the lapel mic. I need to get the actual lapel mic, the wired one, and just that way I don't have to worry about where I'm gonna put this. So the stuff that I got from them was good, but if you go to their website and you look at knives, you're going to see knockoff ZT knives. And it's going to say, and you know it's going to be knockoff because ZT knives are all made in the United States, right? We all know this. ZT is an American-made brand. They only make their knives in the USA. And you go in and you see an RJ Martin design Kai, and it says China. And I'm like, well, right there's your problem. That's a fake. They've got fake Sabenzas and stuff like that with markings, and so you see that, and that's just a flag. The other thing too is if you're seeing a knife that you know should cost a couple $100s, right? $150 to $200, and you're seeing it for like $40 and $50, and it doesn't seem to match up. That's a red flag. You're probably not buying the actual product. You're probably buying a garbage product. This is a $240 knife in Crewwear and micarta. If you see this same knife somewhere for 60 bucks, there's a good chance, I'm going to say an almost 100% chance, that it's not the real deal. So that's another one. It's just reputable vendors. And knowing the price of a knife. So do a little bit of research. It all goes back to doing a little bit of research. One of the big ones, though, are these kitchen knife scams. Since you brought up kitchen knives. The kitchen knife scams, they're horrible. That Husk knife, the Kalima knives, those things are some of the worst knives you're ever going to get. And when you really get down to it, what you want to look at is, what's the materials? Do they list the materials? If they don't list the materials, there's a good chance that you're getting something substandard. So, Chunk, he's just licking my pant leg. So making sure that you know what the materials are, what's being offered, what's coming. You should be able to find a heat treat and specs and stuff, all of that. that really becomes one of the ones. So like when you look at the Husk knives, the steel that they were using was literally the same steel that they use in pots and pans. If Cedric and Ada's video, if Pete's video is still up, it's a great video. Mine got taken down. The other thing too is companies that strike videos, 99% of the time, that's a red flag right there. Like if you hear reviewers talking about a company, are like, oh, they took down my video because I talk bad about their product. That's one right there that should raise some red flags. So there's a whole bunch of ways, but there's a lot of scams out there, and there's a lot of sites that will scam, and there's people that will screw the system as well. Another way to get scammed, the secondary knife market is that's one of the easiest ways to get scammed. It really is. The secondary knife market, people are buying knives, selling knives, buying knives, selling knives. That's another one that you want to make sure you're going to reputable people, right? You're not just like in the forums and some dude's like, oh, I've got this knife, I'll sell it to you. Little story. I had a guy that I think he still follows the channel probably. I had a guy that asked me a few times to vouch for him because I was fairly known in this knife forum. Asked me to vouch for him for the purchase of a knife, saying that like, hey, yeah, because I'd had interactions with this guy in the past, and they'd been good, and he had bought knives, and I had vouched for him in the past, and he definitely had followed through. Well, this guy turns around and he has me vouch for him on a purchase, and then he ripped off the customer, like took the money, never sent the product. So that's like, I don't vouch for anybody anymore. Even people I know. Like they're like, hey, do you know this guy? Like, yeah, I know him. How is he? It's like, good. Would you vouch for him? Nope. Vouch for no one anymore. Unless it's somebody like Nico or Elliot or Tino, guys that you know that I know really well. That's a good way to get ripped off. And it's a good way to have your name kind of dirtied in association with like, you vouched for this guy. Like you vouched for this guy and he ripped people off. And I was like, I felt every bit as bad as if I had ripped somebody off when that happened that time. So that's another one, the secondary knife market. That's an easy way to get ripped off. So you can avoid a lot of these by sticking to reputable vendors, doing some research, making sure you know what you're getting into, making sure you know what that knife is worth before you just up and buy something sight unseen on a website from somebody that's like, they're got my FS dagger off of eBay from California. I don't know what the FS dagger is, but if you got it and it worked out, that's great. But I've seen too many people get screwed on eBay, and I've seen way too many people get screwed with just the forum sales. That's why, like, when I have a public Discord, and it's in the description of my videos, there's a link to it. But there is a sale site, but I put up, like, you are on your own. That I have nothing to do with any of the sales. I'm not privy to any of the sales or trades that go on there. You're on your own to do the best research you can possibly. Guys, it is so hot in here today. It's currently 70, I think it's 73 degrees outside right now. What is it right now? I'm sorry, it's 70 degrees outside, but it's like 79 degrees in the house. It just did not cool down. So, yeah. Another one that you can get screwed on is unknown brands. Every once in a while, you get a rare gem. I just filmed a video about this. I mean, not a rare gem. I mean, a lot of times they're reputable companies. This is a Joker Lynx survival knife. This came to me, never heard of the brand. It's a decent knife. I'm moderately impressed. There's some stuff with it, but it's not an overly expensive knife. It's also not poorly done or anything like that. And so having an unknown entity can from time to time be iffy at best. I have another one here that I'm not sure about yet, and I'm going to do a little bit more research on, but one of the ones that has a tendency to be a flag for me as like the quality is a phrase that you see on a knife. and occasionally you see it. Sometimes you see it, and it's not a big deal. So this came to me, and I don't know who sent it to me. This is the Takumitak knives, and this is, yeah, this is the one that throws me off. Okay, so it says right here, this model is the TKF209SW, right? Right there, automatically flags start going off because this is, it's in D2 steel, and so it says USA design, crafted in China. The reason this throws me off, and the reason that this puts up flags, is it's in the exact same font, and I mean the exact same font as M-Tech. And if you know anything, M-Tech knives aren't great. And so I'm holding back my horrible comments until we see it a little bit better. But this has all the flags and warnings of a garbage company, and the fact is it's not very sharp. So those are things that like really set off the flags. Especially, I haven't looked the price up on this, but these aren't a cheap knife, but they feel, I don't know, it just feels really, it is so heavy too. But it's done in D2 steel. Just Davy Jones, just buy from reputable sellers. You want a free ride, you get what you pay for. Sticking with reputable vendors, yes, but you can get screwed from time to time from what would typically be considered a reputable vendor, such as Amazon. There's a lot of fake stuff on Amazon. There's a lot of fake, and I don't mean just knife stuff. There's a lot of fake stuff that's starting to show up on Amazon where they've worked their algorithm where it comes up and it's like, hey, you're looking for a specific product, and instead of finding the brand name one, the branded one that you want, you're getting the Amazon's choice. And there's been lawsuits because sometimes they're hazardous, they're dangerous. Yeah, they're really cheap, but you gotta, like, if you're looking for a specific thing, sometimes you gotta dig. And I'm like, why is, like, a specific brand, I'm looking for a specific brand of item. And you pull it up and it gets you like the knockoff stuff. And it happens with knives too. Another company that you gotta get, I don't count Amazon among those. I mean, for some things, Amazon's good for some things. I have an Amazon store. I get a lot of stuff from Amazon. You just have to make sure that you dig through the fake stuff. Microtech Knives is another company that gets knocked off a lot. And some of the knockoffs are pretty good. Like, I mean, pretty well done to where you wouldn't notice. Some of the fake Spydercos out there. Some people have got with some of the fake Spydercos. Spyderco and Cold Steel are your big ones. Well, you must be somewhere where there are local knife stores, because here in San Diego, my phone is my knife store. I have to, and I have to order stuff. As a matter of fact, we got a couple things coming. I have so many knives that are here for review, and I haven't even gotten close to doing them yet. I still have to do the final review of this. Oh, you're in the Netherlands. That must be nice. Is it hot there? Because it's hot here. I wish I didn't work nights right now, because it's like, it's been 80 degrees in the house. And so like, I'm dreading trying to sleep today because it's supposed to be like in the 80s, which means it's gonna be in the 90s in my bedroom. So, but yeah, that would be another one, is knowing what brands are typically in that knockoff realm. Microtechs get knocked off all the time. The best bet is getting to see something in, the best thing is to get to see something in person. That's why I like knife shows. I like knife shows because you're gonna get to see a lot of stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. You're gonna get to see a lot of stuff at a knife show. And so if you're, That's your best possible chance. But I'll tell you another thing that I've noticed about knife shows. And if you guys are here, please drop a like. I see there's like 23 of you here. I know there's more on the shorts feed. Oh, Fairbairn Sykes. If you haven't dropped a like, please do so. There's a little spot with 3 little dots. It drops down and it'll give you a chance to drop a like on it. Let me go. I got to open this door for the dog. Hang on, bud. Hang on. There you go. What's going on? Why is that light not on? There you go. It's hot in here. He wanted to go out in the yard. I want a Fairbairn someday. I have a couple big stores there. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of brands that get knocked off. But if you go to a knife show, there's a lot of times there's knives at a show. How do I want to word this? A lot of times you go to a knife show and you see all these knives that are on the tables and you check them out and everything. And you get one home. And I've heard more than one person that was like, well, I bought a knife at the table and then immediately had to send it in for warranty service because there was something wrong with it. And I'll tell you why. Because knife makers are making knives all year, but then when it comes time for the show, they have to like really jump through their own butt to try and get stuff done and get it up and have it on a table. So it makes it kind of difficult for them, and things get missed. And there are a lot of knives at shows that have problems that you're going to see that you wouldn't see throughout the year. Now, there's some makers that just make knives all year at the same pace. And if they've got a bunch, they'll take them to the knife show with them, or they'll just make them throughout the year and they'll just set a couple aside throughout the year for shows. Aaron Frederick, when he used to do shows all the time, that's what he did. He didn't make a bunch of stuff specifically for a show. He just made a lot of knives all year, and you need to check him out. Trash Panda Knives. He definitely made a lot of knives. Very prolific maker, and he would just have enough knives. Like just at his pace, he would make enough knives to have knives at a show. So if you're at a show, just like don't be enamored with the fact that this is a knife you've really wanted and you're seeing it for like $400 less than you would get it online, because cash is king. If you can buy a knife cash, they don't have to report that. They're gonna actually make more by selling in cash at a show. Problem is, if they rushed, there may be some problems. It does happen. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff at a knife show. Guy bought a $700 custom knife and it hadn't even been sharpened. Pizza lover forever. Well, thank you. And I'm not the man anymore. I don't carry a badge. So, but yeah, just little things that you can do to avoid getting caught up. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt, it's because it's the coolest shirt that I own. Just like the live, how's your morning going, or are you in Japan? No, it's midnight here. It's midnight here, and this isn't gonna be a real long live feed. I wasn't gonna do this at all. I just finished filming. It is stupid hot in the studio. There's no ventilation out there. I just finished filming a bunch of stuff, and I was like, you know what? I should do a live feed since I had the microphones and stuff out. Yeah, cold steels are cool. I think that the problem with the cold steels are that niche market. Like I've had a bunch of people, like when I talk about this being a big knife, they're like, oh, that's not a big knife. It's a pretty big knife. It's over 9. I think these are 9.5. About the same size as this one, about 9.5. So the big cold steels, and I talked with Lynn Thompson about this at a knife show. Those knives aren't the great big, like the great big massive folder knives that they make. They're not for everybody. Those are kind of gimmicky, and they serve a purpose for some people. I know that Scab loves his great big massive XL folding knives from Cold Steel. For me, I never saw them as being that functional of a knife. They're well made. I've sharpened some. I've had some come in on the channel. They're a lot of fun, but the fact is they're not your everyday. They're not your daily driver. That's not the knife that you're like putting in your pocket and taking to work with you. You know what I mean? Unless you're going on an elk hunt for your job. What did I just get? Sorry, I just got a text. So, Josh, speaking of Japan, the wife and kid are in Japan. But I'm definitely not. I wish I was. I wish I had time to go. I couldn't carry one out here without the cops confiscating it. The cops would confiscate it. Yeah, I think these knife laws are ridiculous. It doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, look at England. They got rid of firearms, and now people are stabbing each other. Now they want to get rid of the tips. They literally want to have kitchen knives that have the tips rounded off. And I'm like, what are you gonna do next? Can't have screwdrivers? Can't have ice picks? Can't have anything. That's the direction it's going. The dog is currently about to knock into the tripod. He's kicking his ball around on the floor. Aren't you? Are you playing with the ball? I had a badge. Oh, I worked for the government in a capacity where I had some law enforcement powers of sorts. And I was I did military police, security details, and I was a reserve deputy for a while. So it was a metal one, silver with gold letters, Department of Defense on it. You know, one of those, a badge. It was limited. Was that a real cuckoo clock? Yes, that's a real cuckoo clock, and we don't use it because the dog goes ape shit and wants to bat at the. He plays with the weights and the chains, so we can't use it until he outgrows that stage of wanting to fuck about with everything. Would you stop? It's cute, but he's gonna grab that ball and start squeaking it. He's nudging it with his nose. So yeah, the big one are these like the knife scams. Did you guys remember the kitchen knife scam company that was doing all the stuff with influencers? And I can't remember the name of the company, but it was, there you go. He rolled it all the way over to me. He wants me to play with him. He's gonna have to take a wait. He's gonna have to take a break. No, the influencers that were doing all the ones, and like they would get the set, and they were like these Japanese knives. But then when you looked into it, it was the same company that owned the company where you could sign up, and then it would give you a title of ma'am or sir, and you would own property. No, not Husk. It's a different one. I already said it wasn't Husk. It's not. The one that guys were doing the ad reads for, and it was actually nice looking kitchen knives, and they were talking about it's Japanese method, da 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 da. That company is the same company that owned the title, the Scottish title thing. Same company owned them, and their business office for that knife company, when I looked into it, because they reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to do it. I'm like, no, I'm really picky about anybody. Like, that's why we've only ever had 2 sponsors on the channel. That company, their office was, their business office address was a hotel room at a hotel in Japan. Everything else was in China, but their office was a hotel room in Japan, so that they were a Japanese company. And I think they got caught up with that. But it was the same company that were doing the titles where you could be a Scottish Kamikoto. There you go. Super wiener, nailed it right on the head. Should be a carpenter. Hey, stop. He's trying to, now he's playing with my cord for all my audio. So Kamikoto, exactly, that's the company. they scammed a lot of people, and those knives were horrible. I saw a couple of them. Kamikoto knives, and everybody was talking about it, and everybody did the same ad reads. Like everybody. And I mean everybody. There was big YouTubers that were doing ad reads for those. And I saw some of those knives. One of my buddies had bought one, and I was like, these aren't good. And he goes, no, they're not. So I have a link down below in my videos. If you want to get some good kitchen knives, Doll Strong Knives have got really good kitchen knives, so you don't fall for the scam. But the boys over at Fair and Forge, their line of kitchen knives are really, really good. And I still have to do a final video on that. No steel listed. Yeah, they were very, very poorly done knives. So yeah, the thing was, I came in a birchwood box. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I would give up the box if you just gave me take the money that you would spend on the box and put it into making better knives. Any of you guys thinking, besides Husk, like I said, you have the Colima knives, which I'm 100% sure are just a division of Husk, because I see a knife when they do their ads when they scan through, and it's like they hit the one where the Husk knife is, and they're like, oh, go up, go around that one. We don't want to. There's been too much bad press about that one. But kitchen knives a lot of times are a scam. These expensive kitchen knives. There's a lot of times that these expensive kitchen knives, you're paying for the name. There's a lot of expensive brand name kitchen knives out there that are just horrible. And then you can get the same knife basically in the same steel for much cheaper. Now there's some exceptions. Like I said, the guys over at Fair and Forge, their knives are great. Really, really thin, really good. I'm talking about production knives. I'm not talking about like custom kitchen knives. I definitely have a few brands that I would recommend. And none of them are like those ones that you see on the influencers. There's a knife maker out there. There's a guy out there, and I can't remember the name of his channel. And he's a knife maker, and he takes knives and then he bounces them against the custom knives of what he would expect. And guys, if you're here, the fee for entry in this live feed is a like. You'll see a little spot with 3 dots. Click it. It'll allow you to drop down that menu. You can hit the thumbs up. Be great if you did that. It would help push us up the algorithm a little bit. So yeah, it's always funny to see these companies that push so hard, and they're always doing it. You never see any of the knife channels that are doing those. You know what I'm saying? You never see like me or Jared or Pete over at Cedric and Ada. Or any like Jim Skelton, you never see them doing any of those knives on their channel, unless it's just to make fun of them. I haven't got to see any of Steve's knives. Steve and I have a checkered past. We don't always get along very well. So, I'm sorry, I saw a comment that made my brain stop working. I know how to cook. You guys have seen me cook. There's a lot of it. Like I use kitchen knives all the time. They're the most used knives in your house. Like don't get garbage ones. And I mean, if you're somebody that's going to cook a lot, get some nice ones. They're just going to hold up better. They're going to hold their edge better. I think the ones that Chris and Elliot made for Fair and Forge Knife Works, theirs are VG10 core, and then it's layered Damascus. I saw, yeah, it's the comment that I saw, and I'm like, hyper focusing on knives. I'm going to tell you this right now. Somebody said something about like the cost of knives. Like I did a short where it was like the knives that were in it were like anywhere between $700 and $1,000 and $1,200, depending on where you get them and stuff like that. And a lot of people jumped into the comments, and I was like, I guarantee that you have a hobby that you've spent that much money on. Everybody has a hobby that they've spent way more money on. Mine happens to be knives. I also was a knife maker. So like it's not just something that was fun. It was a living for a while before things got so bad. I was gonna say the Victorinox aren't bad. Like you're gonna get a lot of bang for your buck. The handles are cheap. They're fucking. You just throw them in the washing machine. All right, the dishwasher. I mean, um, it's got it sharp, then cut through the back of. Ooh, cut through the back of the sheath. What's the only Benchmade worth buying? The only Benchmade I own was one that was given to me. I would have to say the only one I can think of that I would honestly say that I would think about buying is not the Infidel. They're garbage. Like if you're going to get an out the front, if you're going to get an out the front, the Benchmade Infidel series are horrible. If you're going to get an OTF, just get a Microtech or a, oh shit, Heretic dies. Microtechs are heretics. They're great. The only bench is the Crooked River. The Crooked River is a very good knife. Well, it would be a very good knife if somebody else made it. Because their quality control is it's just went so far away from anything that I could recommend anymore. But you got it? You got your ball now? It's just so far outside of anything I can recommend. Their quality control is horrible. The Crooked River is a good design. It's a nice design. It's the only Benchmade I've thought about buying. So it's a very good knife that I guarantee if you get one, you're going to realize that Benchmade almost ruined. Black knives matter. I don't know what the. So yeah, it's really easy. It's really Benchmade at this point is a scam in itself. Like they've got knives that are like $500 to $700 that I can get a knife every bit as good. I can get a knife every bit as good for half the price. And like I said, I've said it a bunch of times. This Microtech Amphibian is the best Microtech they've made. And the fact is that this is $150 cheaper than the first Microtech I ever bought, which means that their prices have went down since 2015. What was this? Crooked River. It's kind of very similar to the Buck 110. I do like that. You bought a Crooked River and it came with a crooked edge. It looked like a chisel grind. Yeah, they're so bad. Benchmade's edges are bad. Like I pick on Spyderco a lot, but at least Spyderco's edges aren't just like, oh, I'm gonna pack a lunch and sit down with this. You can follow the edge and kind of maintain it, and over time adjust that. This is the first Spyderco I've bought that had a nice consistent edge on it and didn't immediately make me want to throw it on a stone. This one did not. And it's always their golden Colorado ones. This one did not come even. It took a lot of work to even out and make the edge more consistent. And even with that, there is still a wide spot. Can you see where the bevel widens up in the middle on this one? The narrows, like, first of all, one, what the fuck? Two, why? Three, why does it cost so much? The bug out. Like, I'm gonna tell you, if you want a good Benchmade, don't buy an actual Benchmade. Buy a Hogue. Hogue makes better Benchmades than Benchmades. They really do. Hogue knives are incredible. They're really, really good. It's a counterattack. I mean, if you want a thin knife, here, check it out. The narrows, right? You want a thin knife? No, you're not gonna get it. The best bug out is a Hogue Deca. The best narrows is Spyderco Police. I got to handle a Wii OEM, and it was surprisingly awesome and comfortable. You want a thin knife? Get this one, or the Endura. The police model or the Endura. The Endura is a little bit smaller. They have a steel Endura with the saber grind, just like this. Great, super, super thin, easy, comfortable carry. I love the police model. Like, you have almost nothing on that that's past the actual thickness of the blade. Very, very thin knife. Still comfortable. I haven't, like, somebody's like, oh, have you handled the narrows yet? I was like, no, I'm okay. I heard that stupid is contagious. The stainless police Endura and the Dragonfly, yeah, they do a great. The TRMs are great. You want a good axis lock. Get a TRM. This is better than the actual axis lock. And somebody told me, it was like, oh, that's just a stupid design and the springs won't break and that's just more expensive. I'm like, really? Then why is this knife cheaper than most of the Benchmades that use the shitty double springs? The spring is right here, so you don't have to worry about the spring getting weakened on one side versus the other if you're one of the guys that only actuates from one side. Like, if you use your thumb to actuate the lock on this, you don't have to worry about the spring getting weak on the show scale because you only use one spring side. You do have to worry about that with a regular axis lock. I just picked up a rose and gold pyrite and a Gerber gauge. I have a pyrite, a buoy pyrite that's here in this house somewhere I cannot find. It was supposed to be one of the videos I shot today, and I spent the better part of 2 hours looking for it. I'm afraid that I'm gonna have to buy this guy a new knife. I'm really, really worried that it has walked off, and I don't know if those are still available. I'm like, oh, I fucking hate when it happens, because it's not my knife. It's not my knife, and I'm gonna feel bad about the fact that I've misplaced or possibly lost. Still waiting for the black and yellow PM to salt. Did I like the Benchmade Anthem? I liked it if it was not a $700 knife. I would absolutely have liked it if it wasn't a $700 knife. It didn't need to be a $500 knife. It wouldn't have been bad as a $300 knife, but it definitely would have been better as a $200 knife. The Anthem was ridiculously overpriced, and it's just because it was an integral. I don't like integrals that much. Typically, I have one integral that I really like, and it's in my knife case. And I'm not going and running around and grabbing a bunch of knives for people that want to see specific knives. What I've got here is what we got. So, oh, I'm going to show you a knife I can't recommend. You guys probably already saw the video, and I hope it didn't offend anyone at the company, but I just can't. Now, I'm going to tell you that Jared said in the comments that the reason this knife was dull was because he stabbed this into a zombie skull. I don't think it is, because I touched the edge up and it's still dull. And I touched it up again and it's still dull. If anything, I would expect the very tip, which is the only part of it that's sharp, to be where the problem is, and it's not. It's on the sides. And I mean, it is dull. Like, I'm putting a good bit of pressure on there and it's not even trying to cut me. It's dragging on its way in and out. So this is another knife. I wouldn't, but this is that Tecto Humvee. But when you look at it, like, look how thin. This is like the Infidel. Why is the blade so small when the handle's so big? The only thing this has going for it is it's got a decent action on it. I wanted to like it. I just couldn't. Now, I will tell you guys, I have a knife that's coming out soon with this company, KATSU Knives. They are making a folding knife for me. This thing is great. You can, hey, if you guys are interested in the KATSU Knives, I have a coupon code that will save you 10%. It's crazysharp, all one word, all lowercase, at KATSU Knives. This thing is freaking awesome. You can save 10% with my coupon code. ZDP 189, carbon fiber and titanium. It's really, really good. I don't know what materials we're doing mine in, but it's not going to be ZDP 189. I can tell you that because they just don't have any. So check out Coffee Brain Coffee too, guys. I keep forgetting to say it. Coffee Brain Coffee is another company that I have a discount with down below. There's a link in the description below with my videos. They're a great, great coffee company. And you, like all this shit that you're seeing, like Starbucks and $9 cups of coffee and people waiting like an hour for an order, and then you're paying to support something you might not agree with. You know, they're spending their money on things that you might not agree with. You know what I mean? Like if you agree with Pride Month, that's fine. I just personally don't think I want to pay for those things by purchasing your products. And yes, that's layered steel. I would just, like, if you want to do activism, do it with your own money, not with my funds that I'm giving you. Like, use that to make a better product, which Starbucks coffee is horrible. Yes, it's layered steel, but it's cored. So the whole core is ZDP 189, and then on the outside, it's got layers of ZDP 189 and 420J, which gives you those alternating layers. But the core, the entire core is ZDP 189. So you don't have to worry about like, is the entire core, you know, any heat treat issues. So the KATSU stuff's great. Their knives are great. This spends a lot of time in my pocket. As a matter of fact, I've been sleeping downstairs because it's been hot during the day. So I've been sleeping downstairs the last couple of days, and the coffee table turned into my bedstand. So this was sitting on the coffee table. I'm not sleeping down here tonight. I need to actually sleep in a bed. Hopefully it's going to be cooler tomorrow. But yeah, this is a great, great knife. Full convex grind. Their knives are just really, really well done. So, but yeah, like I can't. Benchmade is just, they've went completely insane with their pricing structure and everything that they're doing, and it's just, it's not that good. And then everybody's like I complain about stuff, and they're like, yeah, but do you have a lifetime warranty? I was like, a warranty should not be, yeah, at that fucking price, you should have a lifetime warranty. But then when you send things in, like their Forever Sharp program, I did a live feed about this years ago. Their knives come back so bad. So does SE what? I don't understand what we're talking about. I don't, if we're talking about them, oh, lifetime warranty. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So does Microtech. But like, at least when, like, I've sent knives to Microtech for warranty. I've sent knives into Microtech for warranty, and they've come back great. Heard of the new BOFA kit? No. So yeah, it's really hard to justify anything coming out of Benchmade. Yeah, I saw it coming. I'm just trying to ignore it. So yeah, it's really hard to justify anything coming out of it. Let's see here. Beautiful knife. Yeah, this thing's great. What really makes it pop is that copper carbon fiber. The copper layered carbon fiber, the fat carbon fiber with the copper. It just looks so good. And the fact is, this is 300. Like you're buying, like when you buy a Benchmade, you're buying a knife that is in a lot of times some shitty steel. And it's going to cost you a lot. When you're getting something, this is ZDP 189 at 67 Rockwell. It's got the certification form with it. You're getting a lot of knife for your money. How durable is carbon fiber hand? Carbon fiber is almost indestructible. It really is. What's the most durable handle material? Probably titanium. I would say titanium probably is the most. Some of your composite stuff will start to break down and can crack and stuff like that. This is micarta, so this is a composite. They're really good too. They're really stable. I think titanium, and then some of the composites, like the Grivery stuff. Yeah, that's a composite, polymer. I'm sorry, a polymer, not a composite. Some of the composite stuff like carbon fiber, G10, micarta, they're all really, really good, durable materials. Aluminum is up there. The aluminum handles on this, that you're really going to have a hard time. Like, it's metal. You're going to have a hard time destroying it. What's a decent OTF? Any of the Microtechs, any of the Heretic knives, they're probably the best ones on the market. There's a couple other companies that are American made as well. So, no, just quality. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to read some comments that got held for review to see if I'm going to allow them or not, and I'm not. So, yeah, I would say the Microtech stuff, I mean, they're a little bit more expensive. You're also going to get, I can't think of the other brand that does a really good, I mean, if you're wanting to spend like a lot of money, the Hawk Deadlock is probably, while I don't like Gavin, the son, whichever Gavin or Grant, I think it was Gavin is the son. I don't like him personally. I have some issues with him personally, and we're not going to get into that. But the fact is, like, the Hawk Deadlock is the most perfect OTF there is out there. It's the only knife. It's the only knife that's ever gotten a perfect on my channel. Is it Viper or Schrade? I don't know what you're talking about, Ethan. Yeah, but they're not good. That's the thing. So there's a bunch of people who are like, oh, get the light. I was like, look, I'm not a big fan of OTF knives to begin with. I think the OTF knives are kind of gimmicky. They're the older one, whichever one passed away. The son is the one that I have, like, it's my own thing. It's my own bias, my own personal bias. Make a hell of a fucking knife, though. Would never detract that. Would never detract from the fact they make a perfect knife. So I just can't remember which one's which. Yeah, as far as OTFs, I think they're kind of gimmicky. The Lightning OTFs are garbage. They really are bad. The Benchmade ones are really sloppy and horrible, and I don't understand, like, the handle's really big and then the blade is really thin and they're finicky and they're just a pain. Heretic, like I said, Heretic knives. TJ makes some amazing knives. Gavin. That's why I thought it was. I thought Gavin was his son. It goes back to an interaction a long time ago. So it has nothing to do with, like I said, they make an amazing knife. So, do I have a preferred style of lock? I do, and it's changed over time. I used to be a big, and I still am, a big fan of the frame lock. I was like, if it's either frame lock or nothing. I loved frame lock knives. And with some of the newer locks that have really started to come out there on the market, I have to I kind of have to say that like I've become a big fan of a good axis lock. Now it is not as snappy in the detent, but you got a lot of strength and a lot of latitude, and it's safe. I think right now my favorite lock on the market is the compression lock, and it's because it's as strong as a it's as strong as a frame lock, stronger than a frame lock. It's safer because you're completely out of the travel of that blade because your lock is on the spine. It still has the detent, everything you would get from a liner or a frame lock, and then just the insane strength that you get out of the compression lock. It's just nuts. I did a video about the compression lock. I'll talk about it when I do the review of this. This is my military too. There's very few locks on the market that are as robust. The fact is you don't need a lock that strong, and that's something like the triad lock, the strongest lock you're gonna get, period, hands down. It's triad, and then compression lock is up there. The shark lock is really good too. The triad lock is a lot less user friendly, to be honest. So you get the same things you get out of this, but like some of the advantages of a button lock, because if you look, I've put a CME on mine. So now I can push that button and let the blade drop like you would on an axis lock or a button lock, and you can snap it open with that the same way you can with a button lock or an axis lock, but you definitely get a much more robust lock than you need. You don't need a lock that strong. Like, I see people like, oh, that knife, I saw a guy talking about this, like, oh, that knife failed the spine whack test, and he put a link to the video, and the video had the guy holding this thing out and hit it with a stick, like a fucking baton, like a police baton. And I was like, well, that's not a fair test. Like, no one's going to do that. What is the real world application of that? Yeah, you can brute force almost anything. The CME, yeah, it's a CME from OCD for EDC, and I have it on both of my compression lock knives. It's something I won't ever not have on a compression lock. Well-designed liner locks work perfectly fine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the lock doesn't need to be that strong. Like, if you're going to be brute forcing it, yeah. Like, is it one of those things that some companies, like Cold Steel, just all the strongest, toughest locks, strongest, toughest knives on the market, strongest, toughest locks, and they made a lot of money. But the fact is, a spine whack like that, to do that, that's never going to be a good test. Like a tap, like tapping it on something, that's a good, valid test. An even better test, and I'll show you the way I do it here. You take the knife. This is a much better test of your lock than a spine whack. Get your finger out of the way, get your hand on it, and then you put constant pressure against the lock going that way to see if you feel any slip or any fail. If you can feel the lock flexing and giving, it's not a good lock. A spine whack, like smacking it like that, one, it's going to induce shock and cause a lock failure. Two, there's a good chance it's going to cause damage to the lock itself. A spine tap, like tapping it, like you would accidentally, like if you accidentally bumped it up against the counter just to make sure that lock's not going to fail, then yeah, that's a valid test. But holding that knife like this and hitting it with a baton, basically a glorified little bat, is not a good test. It's a very bad test. Spyderco Siren had issues with the lock where putting too much pressure on the blade made the lock raise up and almost disengage. I've had a couple knives that when you do that test where you hold it like this and you put pressure, like you're trying to bend it over. I've had it where you can feel them start to fail. This is my knife of the year. I'm going to tell you right now, I know that it's early in the year, but you have no idea what it's going to take to dethrone this knife. It is just about perfect, in my opinion. I resharpened it. It was sharp when it came. Like, it was ridiculous sharp when it came. It is terrifying sharp. The edge on this, that steel that they decided to make it with, it takes a really, really good edge. But yeah, this is great. And like I said, I got this for $150 cheaper than I got my first Microtech. So, guys, I'm gonna have to get off of here. I gotta take Dum Dum here for a quick walk. Yeah, you heard me say that, huh? And I haven't eaten anything yet. Have you ever dropped a knife on your bare foot? No. Okay. Before I go, we have to talk about this. I've never dropped a knife on my bare foot. I did drop a knife into my hand and had to have like 4 stitches. It fell off the counter and I wasn't wearing shoes. And this is it's exactly what I thought. I was like, that's going to land on my foot. I wasn't wearing shoes. I lived in Japan. You don't wear shoes in the house. Barefoot in the house, knocked a knife off the kitchen table. It was a really sharp folding knife. I had just finished sharpening it for a friend and it was falling and I reach out and grab it. And at the time I was using a Lansky and it still was linked on there. And so as it started to fall, it hit my leg and that T frame that goes on the back for your guides was still attached to the blade. And so that knife stood straight up. And when I went to reach for it to try and stop it, I stuck it right in my hand. So it didn't fall. I more or less stuck it in my hand. Now, Jared, do you guys remember when Jared stepped on that knife that time? And just horrific injury to his foot. That has been a nightmare of mine in the shop, in my studio for years now. I dropped a knife one time and it landed on its flipper tab and it snapped open and it stayed laying up. And I saw that and I was like, oh God, what if I had stepped on that? And from that day on, I always at least have a pair of slides on. I saw Jared did that and I was like, oh my God, please tell me that you didn't do what I've dreaded for years. And I was like, did you drop that knife and it snapped open and you stepped on it? And he goes, that's exactly what I did. And I was like, oh. It was hideous. If you guys remember that back in the day. That has been one of my biggest fears. I mean, I deal with knives daily. Like literally, I film and edit and I do shorts and stuff like that daily. And that has been one that has been in my head forever. And he did it to himself. And I was like, God, that's no, thank you. No, thank you. So guys, it's been an hour and 2 minutes. I'm going to end this so that I can take this little guy. So I can take this fella real quick. And then try and get it cool enough in this house that I can sleep upstairs tomorrow. I gotta do something. I can't sleep on this couch again. It's like, not another night. No more. So, yeah, he's a good dog. I've got him registered as emotional support dog. And we just finished up his paperwork. He's going to be a support dog. He's going to be my support dog. I'm sorry. What did they call it? Service dog. So I've got him. He's already registered as emotional support, but we're doing the final thing just to get him registered as my service animal because he can tell when I'm about to flip. I got PTSD. I do. A lot of us guys in the military do, and it's just one of those things that he definitely knows. And he'll come up and he'll get up on me, or he'll put his foot on me, and then that's it. Definitely just that. That's all it takes. That's all it takes, isn't it, buddy? Yeah. So, guys, I love y'all. I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Don't get scammed.